Hello, hello, hello. It is welcome to Raven's Escape Crafts. I'm Sue. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Sue, owner and crafter of Raven's Escape Crafts. And if you haven't seen my videos before, I talk a lot about crochet and yarn and all kinds of other things while I make Ren Fair wear and this I was specializing in like Ren Fair wear. This one I have been working on. I finally finished it. Can you believe it? Finally finished it. It is done. This is my watermelon themed elf druid hood. So it's got a big hood and then it has a huge long tail. I am in love. This is what it looks like from the side, on the other side. And it's got the braids. I think it is so cute. I think this is going to be like the super most funnest hood to wear. It will be available in my Etsy shop, Raven's Escape Crafts. And if you are interested in it, it should be up today. When this video gets posted, I'll put a link to it below. And I just love it. This is made with the watermelon parfait by what is it, Premier? This one. Premier Sweet Roll. I'm sorry. Sweet Roll Fruits and the watermelon. I love this one. I love this one. I'm going to make more of these. These are actually super fun to make, and I think they're just super fun. It does flip out further, but then it sort of stays down. So if this one flips back a little bit, but I think that just adds to it. I love it. What do you guys think? Is anybody else like it? And like I said, I love this tail. And it is not too heavy. I was worried because this tail's a little heavy, but it does not fall off your head. It does not. It's not too heavy. It does not pull it off your head. It's super comfortable to wear. It's not tight on your head at all, which is nice. And it's not super heavy. Like, so, I mean, I think it'll be really nice for like Ren Fair or whatever, or festivals, because it will keep the sun off your face, which is always helpful. But it's not like super heavy. And like I said, it doesn't sit like heavy on your head. It's not tight. It's very loose, which I absolutely love. And it does stay up nice. So I have to probably going to make some accessories to go with it since I still have some yarn left over. But I haven't done that yet because I just finished this last night and I am just in love. I think it's cute as heck. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. So how's everybody doing today? I'm recording this. It is Thursday, May 21st, 22nd. I don't know what day it is half the time. So just wondering how everybody's doing today. It is still dreary here in Pennsylvania. So I wish it would someone come out, but that's okay. It's okay. Didn't do a whole lot last night. I worked on this. My husband made some yummy chicken on the grill. That was really good. He actually marinated it in like a carne asada, which obviously I know was for steak, but yeah, it was a carne asada marinade. It was really, really tasty. He did just chicken legs on the grill. That was really good. And then last night we watched, as you can see, our Star Wars stuff. Friends of ours do. It's called Inflatable Falcon Podcast. You can catch it up on YouTube. They have it on. I know they have it on Facebook too. And they talk all sorts of things Star Wars every week. And it is one of my husband's friends, Ken. They actually do a podcast together, but this is Ken and Mike Hanlon, and they talk all things Star Wars. So we were watching that last night. That's always a blast. They talk all kinds of Star Wars. They're like guys that are around our age, late 40s, early 50s, and they talk all sorts of. They're very, 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 very into Star Wars and costuming, and so check them out if if something you're looking you're into too. I don't know if anybody's a Star Wars fan, but they absolutely are they're funny and they talk a lot about all sorts of, they get very in depth in the Star Wars world. If you're just a cash Star Wars person, they get in depth. I mean, I've learned a lot of stuff. There's things, I like, my husband's Todd is a huge Star Wars fan, and which is why, he's friends with these guys, and they definitely talk about things like, they delve into, into things. They were talking last night, they've already watched, like, Ken's already watched every episode of Andor like 3 times. It just finished last week, So, all right, that's Star Wars talk. Let's get back to crochet. So this is what I'm working on. So I'm taking a little break today from making something big. I think I need, I don't know, all this dreary, and it's just, my motivation is not where it needs to be. My head wants to be motivated, but the rest of me is like, I don't know about that. So I'm trying to be motivated. I'm trying to get stuff done, but I think my creativity it needs a little bit of a little break today. So I have some leftover yarn from some other projects. I think I'm going to work on a few, like belt bags, dice bags, trinket bags, stuff like that, for see what I can make out of some of this scrap yarn. I have some cute ideas I've been wanting to try, and I think today is the day to work on some lighter stuff now that I finished my big hood here. And then we'll get on to some more big stuff. I have so many cool ideas of things that I want to do, and I keep coming up with more. I'm making a list, so stay tuned for that. So what are you guys up to today? What are you guys up to this fine Thursday? I hope you're all doing well. If not, big hugs. Big hugs for me. If you need a hug or a motivation. So, yeah, so my kids have game club tonight. They both play D&D. They said we are a big family of nerds. So they're staying after school to play Dungeons and Dragons tonight at school, because they play at home, but they also and now they're not even in the same school. They're in separate schools, because my older son is in high school. My younger son is last year in middle school, which is coming up. The end of the school year is coming up, and then I'm going to have 2 high schoolers, a 9th grader and a 10th grader. I can't even believe it. I honestly can't. I have something stuck in my teeth. I can't believe they're mind blown that I'm going to have a 9th grader and a 10th grader. It's amazing. They're both like super nerdy, super academic-y kids. I mean, my older son is going to Orlando in July to compete in math competition and a math conference. I mean, a calculus conference, and he's in 9th grade. I don't know where he got it from, because I did okay at math, but I never took calculus. I got up to trigonometry, algebra 3 trigonometry, and that was my senior year, and he's in 9th grade taking pre-calculus this year, and next year he's going to take calculus, and we still have to talk to the school, because they want to enroll him in college classes next year already. I'm like, my God. Take him. I'm proud mom. But yeah. So, and then he's going on a trip in July down to Orlando to compete in math competitions. So, and go to a math conference. I'm like, look, kid, take the opportunity. There's going to be colleges sniffing around, Hey, take it. Do it. Have fun. He's excited about doing all that math. I'm like, okay. Yay! Scholarships. That's what we're looking for. I can't wait to see what my kid's future is going to be like. I mean, they both, at this point, are on a path. My younger son is in 8th grade, but he's taking 2 maths this year. He's taking algebra 2. Yeah. No, wait. Yeah, Algebra 2, which is the normal class that he's supposed to take, but he's also double dipping and taking geometry on a virtual class at school, but they don't offer it at his school, so he's doing a online class so that he can take 2 maths this year, so he can not skip geometry, so he can take Algebra 2 and geometry this year, and then next year he starts Algebra 3 and pre-calculus. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Crazy to me. I don't know how they do it, but I am proudest mama ever that they do this stuff. And so I just can't believe it. We're almost at the end of the school year, and I'm gonna have 2 high school kids next year. So that's that. What else? Let's see. I don't have a whole lot new. It's that I'm working on. I have this. Show you. I'm working on a bag. Where'd it go? I just had it. Oh, here it is. These are the little pouches that I'm making for, and then I'm gonna put the belt loop on the back so you can put it on your belt. And then this is a super simple. If you guys ever want this one, I would do a tutorial on, because this is really simple. Like I said, I'm not. This channel is probably not going to have a lot of tutorials because I'm not a very good teacher. I have tried to teach a few people things, and I'm just not the best. But this is a simple little belt pouch. It's going to be a belt pouch. And then I let me see if I can find oh, there they are. Oh, don't fall. You're going to fall. Hold on. Okay, you didn't fall. These buttons, let me pull some out. I got these on Amazon. Where else? But I bought them for a different project. They're all different wood buttons. Let me put my hand up so you can see it better. Like they're all really cool, and they're all wooden buttons. There's like tons of different patterns on these. Okay, I showed you that one. So like all kind of them, and they were like super cheap. So, and these look really cute on bags for like the Ren Fair and stuff like that. So you want a funny story? Okay. So Amazon, I was looking for buttons for hexagon cardigans because I made a whole bunch of hexagon cardigans, and I like to give people the option of putting buttons on them or not, because some people want buttons on their cardigans, some people don't. And the way I make my cardigans, I can add buttons afterward. I don't actually have to make buttonholes. The way I design them, they have spaces to put, if I can put a button in, and there's a place to put the button through. So I wanted to get buttons. And I thought I read, I thought I read it right. And of course I got this size, which, as you can imagine, is way too small for a sweater. They're tiny. They're little. I mean, they're cool, and I'm going to use them for other things. So I thought, okay. So I thought, well, and then I got it. People were wanting to get buttons put on. So I thought, okay, well, I remeasured, or at least I thought I remeasured, and I go to order buttons a second time on Amazon, and I get this size. Now these are too big. So I got this size and this size. Kind of needed something in the middle. So, and that's the only problem with ordering online. I love the convenience of ordering online. And I know there's a few places, you cannot buy buttons like you used to. There used to be, you could go buy buttons like anywhere. And obviously, there's like places like old Joann's used to be able to go buy buttons, but Now they're closed. So, it's hard to like go just buy buttons. And then like the places that do have buttons, do they have the variety of buttons that you need? Because there's places that have buttons, but I need, I need like Joann's that had like the wall of buttons, that you could choose from buttons after buttons. They had cool buttons and neat buttons and, any size buttons you were looking for. I remember years ago, there was a really cool fabric shop not too far from us that I used to go into, and they just had a whole wall of zippers and buttons and all sorts of things like that. And, any size zipper in any color you were looking for, any kind of button you were looking for. And then again, if you just needed one or two buttons, whose grandmother didn't have a whole cookie tin or plastic container or something full to the brim of buttons? I know my grandmother used to, every time, well, she was, my dad's mother she sewed a lot, and she liked to sew. So, of course, when anybody would have something that they wanted to get rid of, or like, something got worn out, she would cut the buttons off because, you could reuse those buttons if they were in good shape. So she had boxes and boxes and boxes of buttons. I remember that. And I remember when she passed away, I was like, I want to take those buttons. And my parents were like, what on earth are you ever going to use those buttons for? I'm like, now I could use those buttons. Same way she had, oh my God, she had so many sewing machines. She had, I think, 4 or 5 sewing machines. Some of them were for different things, you know what I mean? And then she had like one set up just to do like zipper foot, so that she didn't have to change it all the time. She did a lot of like one that was set up to do the rick rack. And then I know she had like a more heavy duty one. And one, I think she even had one that did like buttonholes. And I think that she just had it set up that's like all she did with it. So she had her whole little basement set up, and then she could just go around and like go from spot to spot and work on, because she made a lot of her own clothing. She made some of my grandfather's clothing. I know when I was little, she made a lot of my clothing. I don't have any of that anymore, but I remember she used to make these little jumpers. They were like the skirt jumper with the overall bib, and then she would applique like different animals on them when I was little. My parents, I'm sure, gave them away or got rid of them or whatever, but I remember them fondly. And so she used to do that kind of stuff, but she used to make a lot of clothing and things like that. And so she had multiple sewing machines. And again, when she passed away, I was like, I really wanted to at least take one of the sewing machines for me, because my mom has a sewing machine. And I didn't even know at the time. When I asked, she's like, well, there's a sewing machine at home. And I'm like, where? And she goes, oh, she'd kill me if I ever told you this. She goes, that table in our bedroom, the one that has the pile of mending on it? There's a sewing machine in there. And I'm like, oh. I at the time had no idea we owned a sewing machine. I'd never seen it. I'd never seen it. So she's like, well, there's a sewing machine at home if you need a sewing machine. We don't need to take one of these sewing machines home. What are we going to do with it? And I'm like, now it would kill to have one of those old sewing machines, because like I have a cheapie. I have a cheap, newer sewing machine, and I have a very hate relationship with it. I know how to use a sewing machine. I am not stupid, but this thing does not act right. And I've tried everything, and it just, and I don't sew enough to invest in an expensive sewing machine. Maybe I would sew more if I had a sewing machine that didn't hate me, but because it does not fight with my husband. My husband sews all kinds of stuff on it, and it does not get pissed off at him. But I go to use it, and for some reason, it just is like, meh. It smells fear. I know it does. Okay, I'm not the best seamstress, so it's like, here we go. I'll get her. I'll get her. Um, like I've never, it like every time, like the bobbin rips, like, and I've even had like my husband, like we sewed during COVID. He sewed a whole pile of masks, like a whole pile of masks, and I would pin him. He would sew them because it fought with me tooth and nail. And he would just sit there. I'm like, maybe it's like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Even though I'm not, like, I know how to use a sewing machine. I know how to use a sewing machine. So he would like, I'm like, you put like a new bobbin in it, thread the thing. I'm going to try to do it. Da-da-da-da-da. Bobbin string rips. Da-da-da-da. Top thread rips. Like, he sits down. I'm like, this thing just don't like me. So I wish I had one of her old machines, because I know those older machines are so much sturdier. They work forever. I mean, I know how to take them apart because my mother has this one. She still has it in her room, and I'm sure it hasn't been open since I moved out of the house. But when I did, when I first found the machine and wanted to use it, it hadn't been used, and I couldn't tell. I mean, probably 20 years or more. I don't even know if she ever used it. So I got the guide on how to take it apart and oil everything, and I did that. I took it apart. I lubed everything up with the sewing machine oil. Sorry. And the thing worked like a dream. I mean, I sewed so much stuff on that when I lived at home. And like I said, all it needed was I took it apart. I cleaned it the way they told me to. I, had the oil for it, and I lubed everything up. The thing ran like a dream. I made skirts and vests and tops, and it was the 90s, so I made all this like velvet stuff, which isn't that easy to sew. Hold on. Yeah, I got it like really into clothes making. I made that like all these like velvet vests. So I remember when those were like super popular back in the 90s. And then I was making like all these. I got a pattern for a mini skirt, and then I went out and bought all this like faux suede fabric. It was like a polyester, but it looked like suede. And then I made other ones that looked like the crushed velvet, all these little different mini skirts and stuff like that. I was like super into like making clothes back then. I don't particularly do that anymore, but I do so I know how to sew. I really do. And then super funny story. So growing up, my mother hated sewing like with a passion. Like when she had to mend something, it was like end of days, the whole time sitting there. So, like I started to tell you, she had this sewing machine in her room, and I only ever knew the pile of mending that was on there. Like I think some of that stuff was on there when I was born, and like if something ripped or something got a seam opened up or a hole in it that we weren't going to get rid of, it still had life left in it. If it wasn't something that we needed right away, but like of course our school clothes she would fix for us because we only had a certain amount of school clothes and couldn't really afford to not get it fixed. But if it was something she had like a lot of or something, she would just throw it on the mending pile. And I'm fairly certain that mending pile, there was things at the bottom of that mending pile that were there when I was born. So of course, when I first started using the sewing machine, it was like I would have to take this monstrous pile of mending. And I mean, I'm talking like there's curtains in there and nightgowns and dress shirts and some of my dad's slacks, like, because he wore jeans most of the time. So, but there was like a pair of dress slacks in there that needed to get hemmed, and things that needed buttons sewing on. I mean, we're talking monster pile, like huge huge pile of mending. So once I fixed up the sewing machine, and of course I wanted to use it regularly, it was such a pain. Every time I wanted to use it, I had to take this huge pile of mending and put it on her bed, and then I could use the sewing machine. And then, of course, when I was done, I had to fold the sewing machine back down into it, close it up, and then re-put the pile of mending onto the sewing machine. So this annoyed the crap out of me. So probably like a little bit after I fixed the sewing machine, I'm like, fine, you know what? I can't do this. I'm going to fix this stuff. So I got all the different, I went through. Now she did have like sewing boxes put away. I mean, I don't even think she went in most of them most of the time. But she did have a lot of colors of thread and things like that. So I went through, I pulled out all her sewing boxes, matched threads to all the things, made sure I had bobbins of all the stuff. We also had like tons of bobbins. I don't know. And I sat, like, I took a whole, like, rainy weekend day and just fixed everything in the mending pile. It took me, like, the whole day, but I fixed everything. I hemmed things. I sewed things. I fixed holes. I sewed buttons. Well, buttons I had to sew on by hand, but I did the whole kit and caboodle. Sewed the whole mending pile up. And, of course, I'm like, she comes upstairs, and I'm like, look, I finished the mending pile. And she's like, the whole thing? All of it? Like, what am I supposed to do with this stuff now? Like, I don't know. But it needs to go away so I can use the sewing machine. Oh, she would kill me if she heard me tell this story. But it was the truth. And she hated sewing, and I was, like, really into it at the time. So I'm like, just take it, lady. Just be appreciative. I fixed all your stuff. And she was mad at me because she had to find a place for all this stuff that had been living in this pile for years and years and years and years. I mean, I don't even think she knew some of the clothes. Some of the clothes at the bottom of this pile, oh my God, they were such bad. Like, we're talking, this was in the 90s. There was like all these polyester pants, like bell-bottom polyester pants in there that were hers, and like bright flower shirts, and she wasn't going to wear them. But she wouldn't get rid of them, so she just left them in this pile. Well, now I fixed them. Now she had to figure out what she's going to do. I don't know what happened to half of stuff. I was just like, I fixed it. Here you go. Now I don't have to deal with this pile anymore. Oh, yes. Good times. Good times. So you guys sew too? Does anybody sew? I tried my hand at quilting. I made a quilt, a simple quilt, like a simple patchwork sunflower quilt, and that went pretty good. And then I made my husband a Star Wars quilt out of smaller squares. That went pretty good. And then I bit off more than I could chew, and I decided to try like a super intricate quilting pattern. And I haven't made a quilt since. I still have probably 20 squares made downstairs, and I think I need like 72, something like that, for the full-size quilt that I wanted to make. And the worst part is I have all the fabric cut. I just have to sew it all together, which, again, this machine hates me, so I was having trouble with it, and so now it just lives in a project bag in the basement. I'm hoping one day I will get it together and maybe find a better sewing machine and actually finish the quilt. Because it's beautiful. It's one of those like Amish star blankets or quilts in white and red. So it's very traditional colored. And like I said, I have all the fabric cut into the triangles and that I need. I just have to actually sew it all together. Sew the squares together, then sew the squares, then the squares together, and then make a border. And then, of course, you have to quilt it, which is the hardest part. But, I don't know. Maybe one day. Because I absolutely love quilts. I just, like I said, I made 2. And both of them were like twin size bed size, not big. The one I want to make is like a full-size bed size. So maybe one day. So that's another thing that I do like to do. I would like to get into more sewing. I am not hand stitching. I'm okay at. It's funny because like I'll stitch crochet together like it's nothing. Like some of these pieces, like you have to actually like sew it together, and you make two and then you like stitch them together. I have no problem doing that. But for some reason when I try to like hand sew a garment or something like that, the stitches are not. They never turn out the way I like them to. I don't know if I just don't have the passion or the patience for it. Because I'm like, I can sew when it's yarn. Why is it when I get thread out? I don't know. Does anybody else have that? Like you can sew the life out of anything with yarn, but you get now I could do a button. I mean, obviously I could throw a button on something in 5 minutes. I can rip a hem out like nobody's business, and I can rehem a pair of pants. And with teenage boys, that's super helpful because they grow like weeds. And the nice part is they wear the same size pants for the last couple years. I just have to keep extending them because they keep growing. So we do that on occasion. They'll put their dress, especially their dress slacks. Because both of them they play instruments, and they both need to wear black pants for their instrumental concerts, like black pants, black shirts. So every time they have a concert or something, they'll come down and I'm like, take those pants off. I got to put some length on those. Oh my God. And I mean, from like spring concert to like, or from like holiday concert to spring concert, I'm like, ugh, take those off. Give them to me. Let me add a couple inches to the bottom because you look like you're walking in a flood. So, yeah, luckily, I mean, I bought them long initially because I was like, they used to have to wear uniforms to school, and then they got rid of that. So I bought them long initially because I'm like, well, if they're at this like waist size, I don't know how much wider they're going to get. I just know they're going to get taller. So I bought a long length so that I could. Initially, I had to hem them up quite a bit, thinking, well, at least we're not going to have to spend hundreds of dollars every year on brand new pants if I could just let the hems out. And now that they don't wear uniforms, these pants are lasting forever and ever and ever. They keep wearing them. So I just have to let the hems out every time they have concerts. So they have concerts coming up next week, so I'll probably be hemming a pair of slacks next week, or 2 pairs of slacks next week again. We'll see. I'll check it out when they're a day or two before they have to do it, to make sure they don't grow some more in the meantime, because it seems like they grow like weeds. And all right, I think I've been talking for half an hour. I don't know what else today. I guess it's kind of dreary. And I'm trying not to let it get to me. And even my kids are like, oh my God, all it does is rain anymore. So tired. And my husband's like, everybody at work is so grumpy. They're so grumpy. I'm trying like desperately not to be grumpy. Like it would be easy to just sit here and go, ugh, it sucks. It's so miserable. But I'm trying to keep positive. I'm trying to bring a smile to all of you. I hope I do in my silliness. Again. So I have another question too. If anybody's watching this, when do Ren fairs start in your area? Like ours don't start until later here in Well, at least in my area. Ours don't start till like, I think it's August. But then I'm watching some places online and it looks like there's places that have them like all summer long, or that they started already this year. So I'm just wondering, like, do you guys have Ren fairs in your area? And if you do, when do they start? Because I would love to know. Like I said, our closest one is about an hour and a half away. And the Pennsylvania Ren Fair. And it's they don't start till I have to look again, but it's like it goes from like August till almost till October, and then like toward the end, they do some. At least I don't know this year, but other years they did the Edgar Allan Poe things at the end too, which is really cool because I don't know if you know, but I'm a little bit of an Edgar Allan Poe fan, and then do they have festivals in your area? If they have festivals in your area, do they do them all summer? Do they do them, is there specific times? Like here we don't really, in my immediate area, we don't have like a music festival. We have other kind of festivals. We have we have a Mayfair. We have what they call Mayfair, which is more like a crafty. I mean, they have some music, but it's okay. Let's put it this way. It used to be this really, 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 really fun event, okay? And it always happened like Memorial Day weekend, and there's this big park in my area, and they used to set it up every year where it was like they had a big stage, and then they had a medium-sized stage, and then they had a whole bunch of smaller stages throughout the fair. And then dabbled in between all that was artists and crafters and different handmade products and things like that. And then, of course, food trucks and beer and things like that. And it was free to go in. Originally, everything was free. You could go down there. Now, except for vendors and food and stuff like that. And that's how they made their money. You would go. And, of course, there'd be, like I said, like all these artisans and artists and crafters and food. And, of course, the food was super expensive. The beer was super expensive, But that's how they paid to put this on. And then they had some, like, really big... No, I shouldn't say big. They had some, like, used to be popular groups at the big stage. And then they had some, like, used to be popular groups at the medium-sized stage. And then the smaller stages were mostly local people. I mean, we went down there, like, every year. As soon as, like, couple nights, we would go to that, and spend more money than we should have on food and drinks and stuff like that. Wander around, bought a whole bunch of, stuff we didn't need from artisans and stuff because, like, some of them had really cool things. Oh, my God, there was a lady. I used to love this lady. She had Angora cats, and she would have the cats at the booth with her, and she would actually spin their hair into yarn, and then she would knit or crochet with it. So, and you could buy the pieces, and like they were gorgeous and soft. But she would have the cats there with her, and she'd have her spinning wheel, and then of course she'd be selling her product, or she'd be knitting something with the yarn the whole time she was there. And but there was like some of them were the same, but there was always like different artists, so you could buy their paintings, their artwork, their wood carvings, different things. People who made jewelry, people who did T-shirts, and then they changed it. They said they weren't able to. It was costing them too much to put it on. So then they tried at one point charging for the big shows. And the tickets were pretty cheap. And it was like a general admission thing. And it was like maybe, I think, $5 to $10 for the bigger shows. And then, like, all the other shows were still free. Well, people didn't particularly like that. And so then they decided, well, instead of just charging, like, they were still not making enough money to hold the event. So then they decided to charge to get in. So they put a fence up around the whole park, and now you had to pay to get in, plus you had to pay to go see the big show, if you wanted to see the big show. So now it's like it went from this thing that you could just like go down there, have a fun night, chill with your friends, have some food, walk around, buy some, art or whatever, to now you're going to have to pay to get in. So now you're taking money away. Now you're not going to have money. Obviously it hurt the artists and the artisans, because if I'm going to pay $15 to get in, that's $15 I'm not going to spend buying something that I didn't need, you know what I mean? But I want it. So now, I'm going to not spend that $15, and then the next person's not going to spend that $15 because they spent $15 to get in. And then, of course, if you had to buy the ticket to go to the big show, if you're going to that, well, now that's less money you're going to spend at the artisans or even at the food. Because, like, if I'm going to spend $15 to get in, and now I'm going to have to spend $20 to get a cheeseburger, I'm probably going to eat before I came. You know what I mean? And then again, like, I'm not going to spend $10 for a beer because, I just spent $15 to get in, $10 for the ticket for the show, now another $10 for a beer. I'm probably not going to, hang out as long, which means I'm probably not going to buy as much food, which means I'm probably not going to buy as much, they really screwed it up. And then they stopped doing it at the park altogether and moved it inside, and then on a sort of like half inside, half in a parking lot. And that was really bad. And then that didn't really work out. So then they moved it to the one college here, which the college is nice. The college is beautiful. The college is beautiful and the grounds are beautiful. And I get they have like a lot of place to do this stuff. But the problem with it is there's no parking, like, for the amount of people. And then you also have to, like, where it used to be like all in this one park, now it's like scattered across the college campus, and it's not, they don't charge to get in anymore, which is good. But they also don't have shows like they did. There's no bigger shows. It's all local stuff. And it's mostly like a big craft fair instead of what it used to be. It used to be this really super fun music festival, and now it's like a craft show. And of course it used to, when it was down at that park, it was like all artisans. It was all handmade. Everything was either, hand painted, handmade. Now, there's people with LaLaRue and, different, it's just not the same. Which is a shame, I don't think there's a lot of places anymore, like, for, like, just artisans, where you're not getting people who are either reselling or where they're truly making, like, everybody's making things. And it's harder, because even some of the craft shows that I've been looking into to be part of, they will say, like, well, we're only taking one of, like, Pampered Chef, 130 bag, one. And I'm like, you can't really compete with the multi-level marketing people when you're talking true artisan stuff, because it costs a lot more to hand make everything than to manufacture. So, where do you go for, like, the good market, like, stuff like that? So I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to be negative, but, like, that sort of thing is, like, it was one of the few places where, like, you could go and you knew everything was, because the people were sitting there at their booth and they were making the stuff, and you could tell, like, none of it was, like, manufactured. And I miss that. So, all right, I'm sorry, I jabbered on. So let's let you guys go. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. And I will give you one last look at this fabulous, fabulous hood with its fabulous, fabulous tail. This is fun to play with too. And you could easily add like some charms or something on the bottom of this. That would look super fun. And the way it's made, it'd be really easy to put them in. So you can do whatever you want with it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I truly appreciate all of you. Sending you all good vibes. And remember to choose love every day. Bye, everybody.